Laser printers. Of course, the laser printer represents the highest print quality overall, not just for black ink printouts, but even for color. Yes, you can do color laser printing. You'll need to have multiple toner cartridges. Toner is dry ink, by the way. That's just another term for dry ink powder, and this is what we have in business. Now, what's fascinating about the laser printer is that you have a lot of potentially lethal and or biologically hazardous stuff happening at play. You have an honest-to-goodness laser that's inside the unit that's writing the image to the photosensitive drum. We have high voltage because, as we're going to learn in just a minute, in the laser printing process, it's all about ionizing or charging components, either negatively or positively. In fact, you can smell the ozone, the ionized oxygen. When you do a big print job, you can smell it. At least I can, very obviously. So high voltage, high wattage, we have heat, cast off, and the toner itself is biologically hazardous material. That's why I would suggest that you not get into the business of manually refilling your own toner cartridges. I mean, you can if you want to, but in my business experience, I tend to lease laser printers from, here in Nashville, there's lots of businesses that make their living doing that. They'll lease you enterprise laser printers, and as part of your lease agreement, what you're paying for, they'll give you X number of toner cartridges a week. So as a working technician, you just need to get good at replacing the toner cartridges, so you should never actually have to deal with the dry powdered ink itself, other than when you're cleaning the device. Laser printers are pretty much assumed to be on your Ethernet network via an RJ45 cable, because the idea with a laser printer, you're not going to deploy these one-to-one to each of your employees. Instead, maybe you have in each department you're in your organization, they have their laser printer. So that brings up management issues, right? But we'll leave that for another time. For now, just know that initially setting up a laser printer involves getting it unboxed, getting it placed, using the OSD or the on-screen display to do initial setup. Plug the device into the Ethernet, provide power for it. Once it has an IP address, you then can connect to it from your management workstation and go from there. And there's the OSD. This is an older HP LaserJet, and so there was just a very small liquid crystal display. Nowadays, this technology has proceeded enough and the part cost has come down enough to where you have more robust OSDs on printers. Yes, print laser jobs are memory intensive. There might also be an onboard hard drive to take care of spooling, and this brings up some of the management issues we discussed in the previous module on Soho printing, where you need to strike a balance between letting the printer do the heavy lifting of print job spooling and print job management versus a centralized solution. That is to say, hosting the print queue on a Windows Server machine or a vendor's own solution. I mentioned also in the previous module page rendering language like the Adobe PostScript, the Hewlett-Packard PCL, and Microsoft's XPS. These page rendering languages are used by the print driver and the printer itself to build a page-by-page image of the print job, and then therefore can just spool out and submit the page bitmap to the laser printing process. Here's a nice crisp picture that shows a stack of toners. Some interesting things about the toner cartridge. It obviously is the reservoir of the powdered ink. You want to keep that out of the light. That's why it's in a sealed plastic container here. You'll notice also that the toner is attached to some cylinder, and you might wonder, well, what the heck is that cylinder? Believe it or not, the main component of the laser printing process is the electronically sensitive drum. Well, that drum is actually contained in the toner cartridge itself. And so therefore, it would be reasonable and accurate to conclude that the toner cartridge for, say, an Epson laser printer does not match that of a Xerox and does not match that of a Dell or an HP.